When you're talking about the purposes for times and for seasons, now the seasons that it's referring to, they're actually referring the Hebrew word there is the same word used for the festivals, the Passover and Sukkot and things like this, and those were all determined by the phases of the moon. It was the Passover is the first full moon, the 15th of the month, as it were, on their calendar, lunar calendar, and it was a lunar solar calendar, and it was the first month of the year in the spring after the vernal equinox. And so you need a calendar to do that. It's one of the purposes. And also you need it for anticipating things. If you look at almanacs and so forth, always have been this way. You find astronomical lore tied in with weather lore and climate lore. Even I read this just in the last year or two. I find it's true. The book of Job speaks of of Orion and the Pleiades and the Bear and astronomical constellations, but it's surrounded by things dealing with climate and weather. It asks the question, can you loose the bonds of Orion or the sweet influences of the Pleiades? Back where I work at the Creation Museum, we have a planetarium, and one thing we do in one of our live shows is we will kind of demonstrate that for people. We can, through the magic of our and wonder of our computer projection of the constellations, we can project up there a constellation Orion and the Pleiades star cluster, and we can also project their motions. We can measure those. We can project those 1 million years into the future, and stars start going all over the place, zipping here and zipping there. And when we finally get done, you can still see the belt of Orion, and you can still see the Pleiades. They've moved a little bit, but not much. And it's about the only pattern that you can recognize. We can put up these little red lines connecting all the stars and say, do you recognize any? Well, let's do something. Let's put up all the patterns for you. We put it up, and it's just a jumble, red lines going everywhere. And the crowd in the planetarium in the dark, they start laughing because obviously they can. So then we run it back to the past where it is today, and everything comes back together right at the end. But the neat thing is, only the belt of Orion and only the Pleiades is the recognizable pattern. Now, maybe we're milking it too much to say that that's what is being talked about, but if it is, which seems to be a plausible explanation to me, done very poetically, by the way, then it is fantastic knowledge that generally wasn't available to anybody in the past. How did the Lord know? How did Job or how did the Lord know that? And only if the Lord revealed that, because the Lord made it that way. And if it weren't for the backdrop of the stars, we'd have a hard time reckoning what time of year it is. And so the backdrop of the stars for the sun and the moon tell us it's the face of the clock, as it were, that the hands are moving across, and that's a very important part. Also for signs, and there have been heavenly signs in the past. There will be apocalyptic signs yet to come in the numerous places in the Old and New Testament. Speaking of this. So it's measurement of time to give light on the earth. There are many different purposes for the astronomical bodies.